You're watching Oilers Nation Everyday with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
I really hope the Oilers aren't 0-3 by the end of the night. Let's get into it with the lead. We also always forget that when we do the lead, like, the people don't hear us. I let out a big sigh after I did that
people
one.
don't.
Very little energy in that one for me. I'm actually somewhat nervous for tonight's game. I don't want to be talking about an 0-3 team tomorrow.
Well, I have a great article coming out if they do go 0-3.
You already wrote it?
Well, in my head.
Okay.
I've thought.
I also have a really good idea if they go 0-3 for an article. So at least,
But it's not gonna happen.
But
Yes.
I really hope it's not going to happen.
Yeah, we should be fine.
All right. Welcome into Oilers Nation Every Day. Not just any Oilers Nation Every Day, a Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the show. Shout out to Sherwood Ford, their fantastic mobile service department. I also really like the app you get when you have a Ford.
Really? I didn't know they had an app.
Can start my car from my truck.
Oh, I did.
Or my truck from my phone. Whoa. That made little sense. We are live from the Sports Closet studio. We're getting set for tonight's game for our friends at Sherwood Ford, the Giant. And I actually think we have a pretty decent show lined up. We're going to talk about the Oilers lineup, talk about some big storylines. Michael Gallagher from Nashville Hockey Now is going to join us, and we're going to pick his brain about everything Predators. Really get a feel for what this Predators team is heading into tonight.
Yeah, because they are the most intriguing, non-intriguing team in the NHL.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good way to describe them. They've got like a weird amount of good players, but not many good enough outside of that. Like, I don't know if they're good or bad. They have a great goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan O'Reilly signed there. He was like the prized possession at the trade deadline.
Yeah, he kind of sucks.
Forsberg still legit.
Yeah, Forsberg is there.
Colton Sissons has 3 goals in 3 games. Roman Josi is still a Nashville Predator.
We forget about him.
Yeah,
we'll get into the Preds lineup in a little bit. We'll
Yes.
dig into that. We are live on the Oilers Nation YouTube as always, where the first comment of the day goes to not Tyler Mulick, who says, first time watching this show, does anybody know if Gretzky and Messier used to play together, or did Slather always keep them apart? We read that because we always do a little, what's going on in the YouTube? We read that before we went live. We laughed very hard.
I still have tears in my eyes.
That's hilarious.
It is very funny.
It's an objectively funny bit.
I wonder what Tyler Mulick thinks of it, because he's in the chat and is apparently starting a bit of an army here.
Team Mulick.
Oh, yeah. You guys are blowing up the chat right now with hashtag Team Mulick. You know what? I'm all for it. Good to have camaraderie. I've never shied away from being the bad guy. I'm the Gary Bettman of the show. I had to hand out discipline.
Team Tyler.
Also, someone else now is not Tyler Mulick either. And we were talking.
Oh, my God.
Like, we have a pretty good idea who not Tyler Mulick is, but we also said it would be objectively way more hilarious if that actually wasn't Tyler Mulick. I don't know. There's just a lot. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, guys. Let's try to keep the comments with the game. Because this, I can't tell. Do you have actual questions? Does anyone have takes? Vince is in Soup We Trust. McDavid owns Barrie anyways, then he signs it TM. Come on.
Oh my God, this is
What?
hilarious.
That's all good. If you guys are gonna do this, at least hit the like button.
Yeah, let's get some likes
Believe
for
you can
Tyler
do.
Mulick.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's 37. So
Can we get
37.
not Tyler Mulick to set the light goal?
Yeah, it's not Tyler Mulick.
This is his
set the
day.
light
This
goal.
is his day.
All right. Yeah, sure. Not Tyler Mulick. You can set the light goal for today. I was gonna do number of points Tyson Barrie had as an Oiler, but
Ooh.
I'm now seeing that's like 134 or something. So
I bet we could hit that though.
Let's do it. Wait,
Why not?
but Tyler has to agree.
132.
Not Tyler.
132. But we'll see what Tyler Mulick says. All right. Oilers Preds tonight. Edmonton 0-2 right now, and they're making some changes ahead of tonight's hockey game. It will not be the same structure of lineup that you saw on Saturday against the Vancouver Canucks. Let's dig into our game day lineup, brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant for the Oilers. McDavid, Draisaitl, and Evander Kane. You guys kind of know my take on this.
Yeah.
I am not a huge fan of going nuclear at this point in the season. I think it needs to be a bullet that Jay Woodcroft shoots less. I think off an icing, cool. Late in the game, cool. Down by a goal in the third, cool. I think after game 2, just automatically throwing these guys together and saying, well, our only hope to win is if those two are scoring. That's a bit of a mistake. I don't think they gave Connor Brown enough of a leash in the top 6. I don't like that they're breaking up. the third line. But at the same time, this could work tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it should work tonight. You've got your two best players in the league playing side by side. I think also this is maybe a bit of a credit to the work the third line has done.
The chat is fucked today.
I know it is.
You guys are
all over
insane.
the
Shout out to
place.
Skirk.
On the lines, I think it's a credit to the third line and how well they've done in the first two games. I know they
But then
haven't
why'd you break them up?
Yeah.
because then it's like, okay, well, they've been good enough to elevate Fogle to the line. Maybe he can get who's he playing with there? Sorry, Hyman get going a little bit more. The third line with Holloway and McLeod and Brown. Like Brown's got to do something, right? Like
If
maybe
that-
they can get something there.
If that Nuge Hyman Fogle line scores a goal at 5-on-5, I will do a shot of this Crown Royal behind me tomorrow on the show. That'll be the lead
Let's
tomorrow.
go.
Shake on it.
That was a long stretch.
I don't. Yeah, that was very awkward of us. I don't think that line has enough juice. I think McLeod, Holloway, Brown is more likely to score than that second line.
I think it's got some bite to it. I bet Fogel's the one who scores too. That's my take. I'm not going to do.
You think Fogle scores tonight?
Sure, why
All
not?
right. Sure.
If Holloway,
He had a
McLeod,
good-
or Brown scores, I'll do a shot. There you go. You're on, Tyler. You're on.
Fogle had a very good chance against Vancouver the other night when he got that quick shot off and it almost caught Smith off guard, but he caught it just in time through his 5-4. I don't know. Fogel's been good through 2 games. I think he could
It's been fine.
bang one tonight.
All right.
But Evander Kane is the one who needs to capitalize.
He's got to get going.
most. Yeah.
I loved his hit on Filip Forsberg. He absolutely murdered him.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
was great. But again, I'm not seeing enough with the puck on his stick. Not seeing enough quality chances. This is a dude who I legitimately think could pop 40 this year.
I do too.
I'm not willing to sit here yet and be like, oh, he's not going to score 40. Evander Kane can score 40 for the Oilers. He's not going to do it if he plays the way he has through 6 periods this season.
Yeah.
So again, I'm harder on him because I have higher expectations of him. Like, I'm not that mad with Zach Hyman's play at 5-on-5 so far this year.
No.
Because I think he's a 25 goal guy, 25, 30 goal guy who does good work on the power play, and he forechecks hard. I don't think we've missed on that at all so far this year. I just have higher expectations for Evander Kane. I have a high bar for him because I think he's a really good player.
Do you think he should have maybe considered 11-7 tonight? Considering we spoke about yesterday the physicality they lacked in their defensive zone.
Yep.
You know Deane is going to bring that good or bad.
And it gives you just the option even to, like, if one of these guys doesn't have it, like Evan Bouchard didn't have it last game. I don't think Evan Bouchard should have played it as much at 5-on-5 as he did last game. But when you're 12-6, you don't really have the option to go, you know what, we're going to run Ekholm Desharnais for a period.
Yeah.
I think Jay Woodcroft, if they were to go 11-7, you can do that. Damon Severson sat the entire third period for the Columbus Blue Jackets last night. He's their highest paid defenseman. Timo Meier sat the entire third period for the New Jersey Devils last night. Highest paid forward. Highest paid player is Hamilton. Either way, highest paid forward. I mean, if guys don't have it, I would prefer to see that.
I would too, especially you may recall last playoffs when Desharnais and Costin both had their asses parked on the pine for basically an entire
But
game.
Jay Woodcroft will do it to his depth guys. We've never seen Jay
But he
Woodcroft
won't-
do it to a big gun.
No, I think I don't think it's something that divides the room at all. I think it actually brings it together maybe a little bit more. of
Holds guys
like,
accountable.
everyone's up for grabs. Like you got to play your best to be in the lineup and deserve to play. Or just be given the opportunity.
Yeah. All right. Kelly is in on the Facebook chat. Fogle can't finish. Nurse makes too many mistakes. Ding. Facebook chat, like the YouTube chat, we've gotten it pretty good, right? We do the whole, if you complain about Nurse in his contract, you get put in timeout. Facebook chat, always good for one anti-Nurse comment a day. They'll always, always jab you once with it. Clyde is also in. Connor is a -4. I expect a big game from him tonight. We need this dub, boys. We do. Someone in Facebook also asked if it's a home or away game tonight. Away game. They're in Nashville.
Yeah, the home of Leon Draisaitl.
Home of Leon Draisaitl.
The mayor of Smashville.
The mayor
baby.
of Smashville. We'll talk about that in a little bit too.
Yeah, we will.
Blue line for the Oilers. Just pull up the roster again. Going to be the same as last game by all accounts, unless there's a last-minute change ahead of warm-ups. If you want to find out the latest, you should tune in to Pre-Gaming with Boardsy. Myself, Aaron Bordato, we're going to be live an hour up, or for 1 hour right up until puck drop on the YouTube. So Aaron will be keeping an eye on warm-up lines and all that stuff.
Damn right. Come hang. Let's get the chat going just like in this one.
Sounds like Jack Campbell is going to get the start tonight for the Edmonton Oilers. He was in the starters net at morning skate today. Jack Campbell, first game of the year, got yanked. Not ideal. There's a nice picture from our good friend, Tony Brar. We were in the same Nate semester. Tony Brar was 2 semesters below us, and now he works for the Oilers. Kind of makes you think about where we went wrong.
I would argue we started his career.
Sure.
Couldn't have done it
You know
without
what?
you.
Yeah, let's take
Couldn't have done it without you.
Let's take an insane amount of credit for Tony Brower's career, and we're stealing his picture of Jack Campbell in the starter's crease. Shout out to Tony and to Jack, who's getting the start tonight. But he got yanked in game 1. We kind of said none of them were really his fault. But then you go back and watch him again, and you see little things he maybe could have done differently. They need a big game from Jack Campbell. I want to address a comment from the YouTube from Troy, who got mad at me for not reading this comment earlier. There's a structure to this show, Troy. He said, did you hear the rumor about Jackson saying Campbell has 6 games to prove himself this year? Who's Jackson?
Jeff.
I've heard of him.
I don't think he would ever say that. So
I did see
don't
that.
believe everything you read on the internet.
I haven't seen this.
I saw that rumor.
Where?
It was through
Reddit?
that one burner account. I can't remember the name.
Trina's Oil?
Is that who it is? I can't remember.
I think so.
The lady.
Trina's Oil.
Is that one?
Yeah.
I
Per
saw it.
Garfield?
Yeah,
Did Garfield have it?
But Garfield had it. I mean, been right before. I don't think it was also necessarily Campbell. That I'm pretty sure
Or not do it. Yeah. Like
the tweet specifically said whatever it may be is like the goaltender. If the goaltending shows no sign of improvements by game 5, then it needs to be considered. But also, 5 games into the season is a very small sample size. If we're here in December, then yes, it 100% needs to be. But also, that's such an obvious comment. Hey, if you have no depth scoring, you need to figure that out. Hey, if your defenders can't defend, you need to figure that out.
If your goalie's bad, they need to be better.
Yeah, no kidding.
What?
Yeah.
don't believe anything that account says specifically.
Yeah.
Like everyone should just go mute them. So there you go. Andrew Treen called one thing a decade ago. Exactly. Don't believe everything you read on the internet, especially when it sounds as insane as that. Nelly is in on the Facebook. I don't know why, but the Facebook's like right in my eyesight.
Yeah.
Just said this is their second road game. It is.
Yeah.
Straight up. It is their second road game, and they're looking for their first road win. We're going to get a handle on the Nashville side of things, like I said, in about 15 minutes when Michael Gallagher stops by the stream for a little bit. But it is a Sherwood Ford Giant game day. So let's talk about some of the big storylines ourselves. Mattias Ekholm back in Nashville for the first time since the trade. Obviously an emotional time for Ekholm because he was in a way blindsided by this deal. And I think obviously from our perspective, it was very easy to sit here and be like, hey, we are excited about getting this dude. The legit number 2-3 defenseman, Oilers' best defensive defenseman now. Like there was a lot of excitement, but it's very easy to forget about the Ekholm side of it. He signed an extension in Nashville that just kicked in last year.
Yes.
He wanted to be a Predator for the remainder of his career. He thought he was going to be a Predator for the remainder of his career. And then suddenly at the deadline, you're being shipped up to Edmonton. Ekholm speaking to the assembled media in Nashville today, talked about just kind of how emotional it will be. And he said, quote, not really, or sorry, he said, I think that kind of sunk in a couple weeks ago when you're like, okay, I'm actually going back. Talking about the trade, he says, I got the call at 4:30. You leave the next morning at 8 a.m. You don't really have a chance to think about it. And it's more than just an emotional whirlwind at the time. I kind of feel for Ekholm. This is obviously going to be an emotional night for him, but also should be a bit of a motivator for him as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think it should be a bit of a motivator for him. And
even the whole team, right?
He's a big figure there in Nashville, like one of the players that went to the Stanley Cup final with them, and like that
700 some games.
Yeah,
that's a lot of games.
Mentality, like it's kind of a big part of all of that. So I would expect better things tonight from Ekholm than we saw on Saturday night. Don't think he'll be getting beat from the outside like he did again. Probably be able to anticipate that a little bit more.
Yeah, and I mean,
happens though. Sometimes you get caught.
And we know he's banged up, and he's not the fleetest of foot either. Like speed is not Ekholm's strength at all.
No.
So I think maybe if he's just losing that hair of a step because of the injury, because of not playing in the preseason, all of that, you can kind of see it. I certainly hope Ekholm's better tonight. Yeah, I hope all the defensemen are better, but Ekholm specifically for his own sake. This is also going to be our first chance to get a look at Tyson Barrie taking on the Edmonton Oilers in a Predators jersey. Obviously a part of that trade going back the other way last season. Barrie played 2.5 seasons with the Edmonton Oilers before he had to be moved basically just for a straight up cap casualty. Barrie's done a handful of podcasts over the last year talking about how difficult it was for him to be traded. He was loved in that room. He was very tight with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Yeah. He was, in a way, a member of the core, even if maybe the fans didn't view it that way.
Yeah, I think
like on the ice, building a team, Ken Holland's perspective, Barrie was not a pillar of this group, but he was in the room.
Yeah, I mean, part of the first unit power play. And
yeah.
It is funny to think he was here for such a short amount of time. I feel like Barrie was actually, I felt like he was there for a while because he had a good
felt like a staple.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't miss him too much, especially since he's coming back in March anyway in the trade deadline, according to my predictions. We'll see what he is tonight. Did you see that quote he had about Draisaitl being like the mayor of Smashville?
Yeah, I did see this.
He basically said that he's like, well, he won't have as much success tonight because I'm not passing him the puck. Well, Barrie, maybe you will.
Maybe he will. Leon Draisaitl absolutely owns the Nashville Predators. These are his career numbers against the Preds, right?
Those are nuts.
Yeah, every time we look at these, I always forget how dominant he is.
Over the last 2 seasons, he's played the Nashville Predators 6 times. He has 8 goals and 8 assists. In this career, I think he's scored the game winner like 8 times or something too. Like, he absolutely owns Nashville. I was talking about this today with our pal Kevin Carius on Sports 1440. And it doesn't even make sense. Think about this. No, like why this matchup does not make sense. They have, for this entire 23-game run, had a bona fide top 5 goalie between the pipes. It's either been Pekka Rinne or Juuse Saros. Juuse Saros' numbers against the Oilers, and Rinne's for that matter, are still somehow good. But it's like just Leon Draisaitl that tortures them. They've always had like a Weber, Suter, Ekholm in his prime. Now it's been guys like Josi, obviously top 5 defenseman in the league. Ryan McDonough's a good shutdown D. Ryan Ellis back when he was healthy.
PK Subban.
Like all of these.
You would think these stats come against the Arizona Coyotes or the Anaheim Ducks, not like the Preds, who are pretty good and have been pretty good for
or even like another good team. Like if these stats were even against like Colorado, and it was like, like they're known as a high flying offensive team. Like, yeah, it makes sense. Nashville's known for keeping pucks out of their net, but somehow Leon Draisaitl is like one of the few guys they just can't do it against. It's insane.
Another layer to it too is how little the Oilers actually play Nashville. Like, it's not like they're divisional opponents like they never have been throughout Draisaitl's career. There's even a year in there where they simply did not play against each other.
Yeah, Canadian division.
The COVID year, right? Like, just crazy what he's been able to do against them. And yeah, like you said, it is extremely random, but I guess sometimes just have that one team who you can absolutely dominate against. And yeah, I hope we see it again tonight because it is just a crazy run. Like, look at these numbers from Tony here. That is so funny. Just nuts.
How do you score 20 goals in 11 games against anyone, man? It's wild.
30 points, 11 games. He gets to wear his cowboy boots to the rink, right? That's got to be it. He's
plus 115 to score a goal tonight.
But like,
see it the cashier, buddy.
But even that in a sick way feels like a trap because I'm like, I look at those numbers and I'm just like, at some point, like law of averages or whatever, right? It's got to regress to the mean.
But why?
But
tonight he's playing with Connor McDavid.
Yep.
Every single moment he is on the ice. So his shot prop, which is also nice tonight, is over 3.5. He's going to be the shooter on that line.
Yeah.
Plus 110. Goal, what did I say? Plus 115. To grab a point, minus 400. Lol. 2 points, minus 125.
What's minus 125?
3 points. Plus 200.
That's where I'm going.
Here's the thing, though. It just makes too much sense.
I know. It's too good.
It's
too good to be
too good to be true. I like the Oilers on the puck line tonight, too, by the way.
I always think this is pretty funny. It's like the gambler's fallacy. We've talked about this before. Of like a guy like Leon Draisaitl right now, he's as hot could be against the Nashville Predators. There's 2 ways to look at it. It's like he's super hot. He's going to keep this going. Or your brain switches and you're like, well, he must be due for a cold game. Now we haven't seen that yet from him. But it could come. I'm not going to put my money betting against Leon Draisaitl tonight, though. I'm riding 3 points.
This is 9 straight spins of the roulette wheel, all being red. Do you walk up and go, it doesn't matter?
Yeah.
Or do you sit there and go, eventually it's got to hit black?
0-0 green.
He also has goals in back-to-back games. So he's
had a good start.
Outside of the Nashville thing, he's just had a good start to the season. 9 shots in 2 games. 3 points.
Lance says, like Tyler in a Barbie outfit, it just makes no sense. Dangerous Wade says we need a ginger beef and nurse fight. I don't think Reed Schaefer is playing. Is he back in the dub or is he in the American League?
I believe he might be. Let's have a quick peek.
Wanye would be so disappointed in us for
I've got
not.
the Nashville roster here if you'd like.
Sure.
Let's have a peek. He's in Milwaukee.
Okay, so he's down in Milwaukee. Isn't playing in the NHL. But here is the projected lineup for the Nashville Predators, as always, brought to you by our friends at Sherwood Ford the Giant. Filip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, and Juuse Saros, who's a sneaky good player for them, actually. I think this Nashville team is really going to struggle to score this year, but I like Juuse Saros. Cody Glass with Cole Smith and Gustav Nyquist, Thomas Novechkin with Luke Evangelista and Phil Tomasino, Colton Sissons with Kiefer Sherwood and Yakov Trenin. The D pairings are Yossi with Fabro, McDonough with Carrier, Lausanne with Barrie. Expect Yossi to see a whole heck of a lot of that 97-29 duo on the Edmonton Oilers, and Juuse Saros is expected to get the start between the pipes. Luke Shen out of the lineup day to day. We'll see if they end up getting him back before this evening's game. This is just a Preds team that lacks firepower, straight up, point blank.
Yeah, truly. Like, it's funny though, isn't it? Hasn't this team just always lacked firepower? Like, I feel like this has always been the case.
I know.
The forward group is mid.
I was going to say their four groups mid. That is the word to always describe them.
But there's some players who I would actually like to see on the Oilers one day. Like, I don't mind Trenin.
He's tough.
He's a good physical player. Tomasito's a good player. Novak, wasn't he the one? Didn't he have like a surprisingly good season last year?
I like Novak.
He's decent.
That's why they called him Novechkin.
Yeah, like Nyquist was a guy Oilers were considering last season. I know that was mostly because of, ironically, the injury he had.
Yeah.
But some good players on this team. And I think at the deadline, they're going to be picked apart pretty good, I think, with talent going everywhere and then building up some picks again. And then apparently they want to be competitively good more often than not. Like, just assuming like the Ryan O'Reilly signing, that's kind of what they said, right? So maybe next season is when they then build off what they've done this year.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the tough part with where the Preds are at as an organization is I think they're a group that would probably benefit from a hard reset.
Me too.
With Juuse Saros and Roman Josi, you're never going to be bad enough to successfully do it. You're never going to be what San Jose or Chicago and all those teams were.
Yeah.
Because if you have an elite goalie and Saros is truly in the elite of the elite, you're going to get propped up in the standings. You're not going to be a bottom 5 team. You're going to struggle to even be a bottom 10 team if you wanted to. They just have too many stars. Those 3 stars, Forsberg, Josi, and Saros, are enough to just carry them.
I wonder what it's going to take for Saros to get out of there. $5 million, 20 years old. He has 2 years left on his deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I wonder, obviously, from an Oilers perspective, we just talked about goaltending. If it isn't good enough, like, what's it going to take? Because they've proven that they're willing to move on from guys. Like, what they do? They bought out Duchesne and who's the other fella?
Johansson. They flipped to Colorado and kept half his money.
Torres was the other player I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah. Well, they've been searching for a decade to find a true number 1 center.
Yeah.
They've spent a lot of money, gone through the buyout thing a bunch. They've never found one, which is why they probably.
What would you give up for Saros? I would honestly give up whatever they wanted.
Well, like,
to an extent, I guess.
Yeah, like, I mean, so there's the obvious untouchables, right? Then you got to think about pieces that they'd even have interest in, because the only forward on the roster they would probably have any interest in is Holloway. If they, like, for whatever reason, think they could flip him to a centerman.
What if you go similar deals to last year where you get like Borgo? Maybe you can get Campbell in that deal. Sell the money. And you give
Campbell's got to go in it.
Yeah. Campbell has to be in the deal.
So would you do? So Juuse Saros is making $5 million. So again, the money would have to make sense to some extent. And he's got 1 more year on the deal. So for 2 years of Juuse Saros, do you do Broberg, Holloway, 2 firsts, and Campbell?
I feel like that's too much.
Yeah, that's too much.
I
wouldn't do
it's
that.
2 years of a Vezina winning goalie. He's 28.
I 100% agree. I just don't think that's the way the league trades.
Can we put it as a poll?
What? All of that? I don't know if it'll fit.
It might not fit, but would you do Tyler's hypothetical trade? 2 firsts, Holloway, Broberg, Campbell. Because you have to remember, you're getting rid of Campbell in this.
Holloway, Campbell, and Broberg.
And 2 firsts. That's a haul right there. But he is that good.
And if you're the Oilers, like, again, one of the firsts is basically what you're spending to get out of the Campbell deal at this point.
Yes.
And I know we hate when we talk about trading Campbell because it's not realistic, but in this sense, you kind of see why it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's basically Holloway, who is a 3rd line winger for you right now. Yep. I understand the upside. I love Dylan Holloway. I think he's going to be a top 6 guy in this league. I like Filip Forsberg. I think he'll be an everyday NHL defenseman at one point. I'm not sure if he's going to be a top 4 guy. And he's a spare part for you. And a first for 2 years of 2 playoff runs with Juuse Saros.
I completely agree.
But you wouldn't do it.
I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I just don't see that as a realistic trade. I just don't think the league thinks that way at all.
I think I'm saying I wouldn't do that trade.
You're essentially giving up 4 first-round picks in a way. When was the last time that happened? That's the thing. Like, that's my only argument against that.
You throw Tyson Barrie in that deal coming back, and I agree.
You might have to get a couple of players coming back from Nashville.
Yakov Trenin.
Hey, maybe.
Ovechkin. I like Thomas Novak. I really do.
I like Tommy Novak too, yeah.
But Novak might be, hypothetically, the guy that makes it work. At least caps under $1 million.
Oh,
would you trade Skinner straight up for Saros?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would too. That was a dumb question.
Yeah.
Dumb question.
65
Skinner and a first.
No. Skinner and a first?
Yeah.
No.
See, I think I would.
Skinner's more valuable.
How are 65% of you saying no to this? If Juuse Saros is available, you go get that guy. It's like Ekholm, like whatever the price is. I don't care. I'd throw in a third first. If you can get Juuse Saros, you do it. Have we not watched this team before? Did we not? Why did they lose to Vegas last year? Partially because their offense dried up and no one else in the top 6 outside 97-29 could piss a drop. But also partially because they gave up a ton of weak goals. I believe in Skinner. I think Stuart Skinner can be the guy. I think there's maybe a...
Saros is the guy right now.
There you go. You remove the wonder. Just get one of the best goalies in the league. You do it. Not Tyler Mulick. Skinner's a good Edmonton boy. I love it. I love that story. I am like hard pressed to push back against you on that. He'd still be here in this hypothetical. Oh,
they're coming after you.
I don't know why the chat thinks this is so insane. Broberg and Holloway don't have the value that you think they do.
Holloway 100% does.
Broberg doesn't.
Holloway isn't.
If Holloway keeps this up for another,
he's a mid-first round pick.
He's still a first-round pick.
He scored 3 goals in 50 games
in his rookie season. He is. What is he? 21. So you're going to give it a 21-year-old?
Yes.
Ross Broberg, 22 or whatever.
Something like that.
2 first-round picks. I don't know. I just don't think that's a trade that would ever be considered in the NHL. I'm not saying I would 100% do it. I don't know. I need to see this.
Would you do the trade if it was just 1 first? I've seen that a couple of times in here of people saying,
if the trade
cut it down to 1.
A first, Campbell and Broberg, and then maybe like a third. That's what I would do.
Yeah, it's when you throw Dylan Holloway in there for me. I know it's only been 2 games, but I have loved watching him these 2 games.
I would also love. I would love
watching Juuse Saros.
Dude, you are without any question of a doubt the Stanley Cup favorites if you do that trade.
100%. I don't know. I don't know if your team. I don't know.
Killed Tyler.
Interesting.
Hear me out. If they do it, could call up Lavoie.
Maybe Lavoie's Holloway.
Full circle,
right.
baby.
I see our guest here. Okay, so something happened like 4 minutes ago. If you've seen me squirming around, I hit my foot really hard on the desk.
Yeah, I thought I heard that.
And my shoe fell off. So give me a second. There we go. That was driving me absolutely insane. Just like the results of this poll. Maybe we should get Michael Gallagher's take on it.
I think so.
I see him. He's on the screen. He's joining us on the Star Mechanical guest line. It's Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company, starmechanical.ca. They've been around for a long time. You can trust them.
You sure can.
They are
You can trust Michael Gallagher to give you a good Predators insight as well. That's Aaron.
That's me.
That's Michael Gallagher. Michael, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, let's dig into things. Let's talk some Predators. First off, the big story from, well, really both sides. It says it at the bottom of our screen. It's revenge games. Tyson Barrie going up against the Oilers for the first time, and Mattias Ekholm making his return to Nashville. This is going to be kind of a bit of an emotional night inside Bridgestone Arena.
Yeah, and I believe he even said that yesterday when he was talking to reporters. I have a story on Nashville Hockey Now, if you want to go read it too, talking about just, he said he recognizes it's going to be emotional, and he's not shying away from that. He's going to embrace it. Obviously, he's spent, the better part of a decade plus here. He even said this is where his family got started, where he met his wife, where 2 of his kids were born. There's a lot of emotional connections to Nashville, to the Predators, to the fan base here, and I think it's something that, when you go back to a team after you're traded, they're going to do a tribute video to you, and all this stuff's going to happen. A lot of guys try to act like it's not happening, and I think it's refreshing to see him kind of be like, I know this is what's going on. I'm going to lean into it. I'm going to let myself feel it, and then we're going to move on because, like you said, the Oilers are 0-2. They need a win, and as much as he is going to get caught up in the nostalgia and stuff, he also is very much aware of the fact that the Oilers need to pull out a win tonight.
On the flip side of that deal, obviously Tyson Barrie went to you guys. How's Barrie been doing down there? He was a big piece of the core up here, and like we spoke about it just before. He spoke about missing Edmonton a lot in interviews, but how has he been so far in his Nashville career?
Yeah, he's been kind of the forgotten guy in this whole scenario. Everyone wants to talk about it. It's Mattias Ekholm the first time he's playing the Predators. It's also Tyson Barrie the first time he's playing the Oilers. I think he showed pretty well last year. He only had, I think it was 24 games with the Predators, 3 goals, 12 points. Not bad production. I think it's a little bit of a learning curve still for Barrie and a lot of the Predators, just with Andrew Brunette coming in, the new system they're running. Everyone wants to focus on the offense and how much that's changed. The new run and gun style that Brunette's employing, that also changes things for the defensemen. There's a lot more movement. There's a lot more space they're creating. There's just a lot more that goes into it with what they're doing. And I think Barrie's played pretty well so far. He's one of those guys that I think can move up and down the lineup. He can play on the top pairing with Josi if they need him to. I think he's shown pretty well with Ryan McDonough. They also have a couple other guys that they rotate in and out on the third pairing. He could slot in there as well. He's really versatile. He's an offensive defenseman. He's pretty creative with the puck, but I think it's an underrated part of his game is just how versatile he is. He can play pretty much anywhere you need him to with anybody you stick him with, and he's going to make it work.
This summer in Nashville, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like it was all about resetting the culture in a sense. You know, Duchesne, Johansson out the door. They go get a guy like Ryan O'Reilly, who is known as being a really, really good guy in the room. What are your thoughts on that kind of approach? Because I mean, like, I get it, the culture reset, but also you get rid of a guy who was your leading goal scorer last year in Matt Duchesne. Has it felt like there's been a culture reset in Nashville? Do you think it worked?
Yeah, I think the jury's still out on that. I see what Barrie Trotz is going for, and I think that the plan that they're putting in place, I think we can kind of see where they're going. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Trading Ryan Johansson was something I think the writing was kind of on the wall. Everyone kind of expected that, but buying out Matt Duchesne and adding that much dead cap to the salary cap over the next couple of years, I think was something a lot of fans were surprised by, and then also they didn't like the move. Matt Duchesne, yeah, obviously the $8 million salary was kind of a gaudy number. You don't want to see something that high on your books, but he wasn't playing bad. Like you said, led the team in goals last year. He was still a 25 goal scorer if he was healthy for a full season. The same thing with Filip Forsberg. I think both could have been a 35 goal scorers this year. And we saw how good they were 2 years ago when they both had their career years. It was just one of those moves that was just kind of a head scratcher. But Barrie Trotz even said, you know, you bring in Ryan O'Reilly, Luke Schenn, Gustav Nyquist, he calls them serial winners. And he said the strength of the team right now is the young players they have. They have a really good farm system, and he doesn't want to just bring them all up, throw them into the fire and be like, okay, go learn on your own. It's important to have those quote unquote serial winners to teach the young guys how to play, how to be pros, how to adjust to the NHL lifestyle. And I see the merit in that. I think if it works, great. If it doesn't, then you know what? You can blow it all up and go full rebuild in a year or two.
Yeah, I guess that's always an option.
Yeah, I always think it's funny when teams go into like these rebuilds and stuff, because I always think of when Edmonton did it and there was just no veterans around here, and now all these teams just want to get veterans and help.
Well, and all the guys who were
Edmonton did it wrong for everyone else to thrive.
Yeah, I was gonna say the guys in Edmonton who went through those rebuilds kind of said like a big problem was that it was the kids running the room. None of them knew what to do in the NHL. So I think it makes sense the way Nashville is going about it. You talked about some of the young players that maybe have them or have the fan base excited. Give us a few names that maybe you're really intrigued to watch develop through the course of this season.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I think the fans are probably most excited about Luke Evangelista. And I get it. The guy had a 50 goal, 100 point season 2 years ago in the junior leagues. You see numbers like that, you're just kind of like, oh, get him to the NHL, because you're kind of hoping that kind of translates over. And he had a really good year with Milwaukee last year as well. He was really good for Milwaukee in the playoffs. And I think kind of the fact that he made the opening night roster kind of shows that he really made an impression on Andrew Brunette and on Barrie Trotz, because Trotz has been someone who has been more in the camp of let the prospects play in the AHL as long as they need to before they're ready. He's not someone that likes to rush them. I think he said he prefers to let them bake as opposed to microwaving them. So it was kind of curious to see Luke Evangelista, a very young guy, make the opening night roster. But so far he's looked pretty good. Philip Tomasino is another one. Tommy Novak has been really impressive. And the thing about Novak is he's not a former first round pick. He's not like a really super hyped up prospect like Evangelista or Joachim Kemmel or Yaroslav Askarov or anyone like that. He was just kind of rose through the ranks a little bit. And then he had a really good year last year. And the question was, can he translate that production into this year? And it looks like he is. He's playing on a line with Evangelista and Tomasino. So I think that's pretty good. That's a really good. Right now it's their third line, but the way Andrew Brunette rolls the lines, there's not really like a 1, 2, 3, 4. They just kind of mix and match. But that's a really good line that's been producing a lot. And I think those are the guys that are kind of the fans could be excited about right now. Obviously, maybe you get a month or two into the season, you're looking for some call-ups. Igor Afanasyev is kind of a big power forward, someone who I think can come in and fit right in on the third, fourth line today if they needed him to. And obviously Joachim Kemmel, the guy is amazing. He's got a dynamite shot. He's as close to NHL ready as you could possibly be without quite being there. I think he will be in the NHL at some point. If you watch the preseason, the rookie showcase, like the guy he knows how to score. He can score from anywhere. And I think he will be the best forward prospect that the Predators have ever drafted if he gets to the NHL and they actually give him a chance and he doesn't have an Ellie Tolvanen situation on his hands.
An Ellie Tolvanen situation. The Oilers have had a handful of those at their times. Just young guys who, I mean, whatever, you let them go. You talked about Andrew Brunette and the way he's just kind of rolling four lines. I'm actually intrigued to focus on tonight's game a little bit to see if he keeps up with that, because the Oilers are going with what we call the nuclear play, which is when McDavid and Draisaitl start the game together, roll the whole game together. How do you think Brunette's going to handle that? Is there one Preds line that you think is best equipped to try shut down 97 and 29, or do you think it's just going to be, hey, we'll do it as a team?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the first two games, Brunette kind of kept the lines the way they were, the way they started. In the last game against Boston, when you have a power play that's going over 7, you have to change something up. You have to try and mix and match. You start double shifting some forwards. Maybe you pull some guys and try and throw them on different lines and see what happens. When you're going up against two players like McDavid and Draisaitl, I mean, you basically I think you have a game plan, but it probably goes out the window, the second they touch the ice, because they're just two dynamic players. They're really hard to stop. And Nashville's defense too, even the way that they've had to, Luke Shen played the first game. Has a lower body injury. He's out the last two. You think Roman Josi and Dante Fabro are probably going to be the top pairing, but you never know. I mean, Barrie could slide up there. Fabro could be on the third pairing. And I think Brunette likes that. He likes having that kind of freedom to where he can just kind of mix and match and pull some guys over. I think he'll stick with the lines that he starts the game with for at least probably the first period or so. And then if the Predators fall behind, obviously, or if McDavid and Draisaitl just go out and light it up, probably going to see some switching around. I think Nyquist is someone who is going to probably bounce around on the second or third line. As far as the line that's probably best equipped to slow those guys down, I would probably say the Colton Sissons, Yakov Trenin line, just because of the physicality they bring. And depending on if Cole Smith is on that line or Kiefer Sherwood, obviously Sherwood is more of a dynamic player. He's fast, he's speedy. He can probably keep up with a McDavid or a Draisaitl better than Cole Smith can. But I think whoever is on that line with Sissons and Trenton, that's probably the line that's best equipped to slow them down, just because they're kind of gritty forwards. They can slow the game down. They can go and create some puck battles and stuff. And they do some things that a lot of the other guys that are more offensive minded don't really do.
Fair. Your eyes might roll when I ask you this, so apologies, but I need to do it because the chat wants to know, is there a realistic chance Nashville ever trades Juuse Saros?
Realistic? Maybe. Is it going to happen? I would say probably not, if I was just guessing. I know Elliot Friedman is talking to a lot of agents and he's in the know, and he was reporting, I think last week, that the Predators are looking to sign Saros to an extension. And given what Connor Hellebuck just made, it's going to be a sizable raise from the $5 million he's getting now. I mean, David Poile with a steal of a deal there. Okay. I do think that's probably the best path forward for this team, because I've always been taught, if you have a proven commodity and you have someone that has all the potential, you take the proven commodity. And we think Askarov is going to be great. We don't know. We know Juuse Saros is great. We know he's elite. He should be a Vezina finalist the way he plays. I think, and it makes sense. I think you got to go with the guy that you know is good. You can trade Askarov. I mean, Barry Trotz dangled him at the draft last time trying to get up into the top 5. I think the fact that he was willing to do that shows that he's committed to Saros. And you know what? If it doesn't work, if you sign him to an extension, then all of a sudden he just falls off a cliff, and you keep Askarov. You have someone in an ace up your sleeve. But I think because something else that's not talked about a lot is the Predators are in kind of this rebuild, reset, whatever. But Roman Josi, I believe, is like 33. Filip Forsberg is almost 29. They're trying to rebuild while also trying to get those guys a Stanley Cup before they retire. So, yeah, you want to rebuild the roster and replenish some things, but also like you have your aging core that you want to try and win a cup with. Juuse Saros gives you a better chance to win a cup now over the next 6-7 years than Askarov would. So I think they're trying to lock him up to a long-term deal. I wouldn't be surprised if Askarov is traded this year or next year and you bring back some more prospects, maybe some more first-round picks, because as we saw, Barrie Trotz loves having the flexibility to dangle draft picks out there and be able to try to move up.
Fair enough. Michael Gallagher writes about the Preds for Nashville Hockey Now. You also write about the NFL for Yardbarker, which technically means we're co-workers all under the Playmaker umbrella, Michael. So it was great getting to know you and great chatting with you. Thanks for doing
this. True. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
There you go. Michael Gallagher on the Star Mechanical guest line. Does he get invited to the Christmas party?
Do we get invited to the Christmas party?
I don't know. These are the questions I have. Shout out to Michael joining us on the Star Mechanical guest line. All right, back over to the Century Mile Racetrack and Casino YouTube chat. Yeah, a lot of talk about what they're looking to do in Nashville. They would get a haul for Saros, man. Not to dig into this whole thing again, but like if you wanted to jumpstart a rebuild, you ever play like franchise mode on games and you start with a team and just say, okay, I'm going to tear it down? It would be a lot of fun to do with a team like Nashville because Roman Josi gets you a haul.
Yeah.
Saros gets you a haul. Forsberg 8.5 maybe hurts that a little bit just for what he is. Like any team would pay Josi 9. Any team would obviously pay Saros whatever the extension is. Forsberg maybe not as much, but like if they wanted to just like reset, they would get a lot for those three.
That's why it was so weird what they did last summer. This past summer, I suppose. Just you get rid of Duchesne, you get rid of Johansson, Ekholm is gone at the deadline. And all of a sudden, you sign Ryan O'Reilly, Nyquist, and Luke Schenn.
Right? It just had all the looks of a team that was about to tear it down and rebuild and do everything. And then it was kind of like, psych.
Yeah. And then on top of that, too, you got a brand new GM who there's no team that is more loyal than the Nashville Predators.
Yeah.
Who in Barrie Trotz, and, he's like, first year, this is his chance to really put his stamp on things. But clearly, he wants to bring a winning culture to Nashville.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens tonight on the ice. Juuse Saros last year against Edmonton kind of struggled in his 2 games. He had an .870 save percentage and a 4.46 goals against average. Juuse Saros in his career against the Oilers has appeared in 9 games with a .926 save percentage and a .269 goals against average. So he was dynamite until last year, and that's kind of what hurt his numbers a hair. Although they kind of just brought them back to elite, from like out of this world to just elite. Jack Campbell last year made 3 starts against the Nashville Predators. The Oilers went 2-0-1. Campbell, though, had an .878 to go with a 3.63. So
wasn't one game like 8-5 or something?
One of them was bananas last year. The Oilers went 2-0-1, obviously, same record as Campbell had, with the goals being 16-11 in favor of the Oilers. And their power play was 54%, Liam.
Wowza. 54%
54% against the Predators.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Oilers' PK was also only like 65%. So you want to work on that because the PK has been bad to start the year. But the power play.
Bad.
Yeah, the PK is just bad. Let's go, Jan Mark. You're here to kill penalties.
Should Broberg be on the PK right now?
Probably not.
Probably not. I just don't think that's the brightest idea.
But is it short-term pain, long-term gain? Are you letting him learn some tough lessons right now so that down the line he's a better penalty killer?
Maybe that's true, but I don't know. When you lose a game 8-1 and then the next game my first penalty kill comes up, I wouldn't put Broberg on it. I'd probably go with a veteran pairing like Kulak and CC, or throw Ekholm and Nurse out there or something.
Daily Faceoff does not have Broberg on the penalty kill today.
He's been out there, though.
Might not be a worse thing. They kind of rotate.
Yeah, exactly.
Most NHL teams kind of do. Like, I know we have the PK lines on DFO, but a lot of teams are just constantly cycling that through there. Connor McDavid said he sees, quote, good signs amid the Oilers' slow start. I think for him and Leon Draisaitl, there's been good signs. I think for the rest of the team, there's not been.
Yeah.
The third line is, like, honestly the only thing I can think of that's been a positive. Or like an unexpected positive or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't add much else to that, to be honest.
Yeah, not that much else. Players to watch on the Predators. Juuso Parssinen has 2 goals, and Colton Sissons has
Col-
three
Who
goals in
had
3
Colton
games.
Sissons 3 goals in 3 games on the fourth line, leading them in goals? But here we are.
Yeah.
Hey.
And it's not even like he just popped a hattie either. Like he scored 2 against
2 and
Boston, 1 against Seattle. He's got 9 shots in 3 games. This is a dude whose career high heading into the season
12.
was 15 back in 2018-19. He's been a career Predator as well. He's been on the team now for a decade, which is crazy. Maybe he pops home 20 for the first time as a 29-year-old.
Crazier things have happened.
The Colton Sissons season,
Sure.
everybody.
What, isn't he the one that got that weird contract that was like 8 years?
No, you're thinking of Calle Yaremchuk.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that deal was has finally expired, I think, too. He's in Toronto now.
Yeah.
All right, let's move along to what else is going on tonight. It's the menu, and it's brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. For a limited time, you, our Canadian listeners, can get 25% off and 0 delivery fees on your first order of $15 or more when you download the DoorDash app and enter code NATION25, all caps on NATION, and then the numbers 25. Christmas time or the holiday season's coming up. You can get gifts on there. Maybe you just want to like order a bunch of people gift cards. You don't want to leave the couch, do Christmas shopping that way. DoorDash can support that.
They sure can.
Dude, you can get anything on DoorDash.
You can get
it's my
anything.
favorite of them all.
And you know what?
And a great promo code.
Credit where credit is due for the NHL. Great schedule tonight. Great schedule.
Let's dig into what's going on the NHL schedule. Oilers Preds gets going at 6 o'clock, which means pregame show starts at 5 o'clock on the Oilers Nation
Oh,
YouTube. We will not be on the Facebook or Twitter because the Jason Gregor show is also live, but we will be on the YouTube. 4 o'clock start, Vancouver, Philly.
I believe that's because of the Phillies game.
Yeah, Phillies playoff game tonight. Did you see the Phillies playoff game last night?
No, I
sure
was
did.
Back-to-back dingers
Quite
in the first
start.
inning.
Really?
Quite the
Frank
start.
Saravalli was in the crowd with his shirt off. It was nuts. Anyway, Vancouver, Philly at 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock, Minnesota.
I would pay a lot of money to see that.
Minnesota, Montreal, 5:30. Tampa Bay, Buffalo. Also at 5:30, Arizona and the Islanders. Kings taking on the Jets at 6 o'clock. Colorado's in Seattle at 8. Carolina, San Jose at 8:30. Dallas and Vegas also gets rolling at
That's a
8:30.
great game.
Dallas,
That'll
Vegas will be a
great
good game. Neither
Great
team
game.
has suffered a loss yet.
Really?
Vegas is 3-0. Dallas is 1-0.
Vegas also hit the puck line in 3 straight.
And they're at home tonight. Dallas is going to be scrappy, though.
Yeah, there's some good opportunities here.
Speaking of puck lines, Liam, are you at all interested in heading over to betway.com, talking a little bets, and maybe taking the Oilers puck line at plus 165?
I'm interested in going to Betway. I'll tell you that much.
I love going to Betway.
I am skeptical. I just need them to prove it. You know,
Mhm.
that's why I like to bet with my head now, not
Yeah.
as much as my heart
Smart.
as I did on Saturday. I just want them to win. I think I'm going to go safe tonight. I think they will win. Is tonight the Preds home opener?
No, they played
I don't
three
think
games.
so.
No.
Okay, good.
They hosted Seattle on the 12th.
Okay, and they won.
That was a shutout, right?
3 reds.
Saros already has a shutout, by the
Did-
way.
There you go.
It
So he's
seemed-
got nothing to play for.
Yeah. I'm
Nailed
going
it.
tonight for the Oilers. I'm playing it easy breezy. Oilers win. Draisaitl goal. I might go shot, bro.
Oilers win. Draisaitl 2+ points is up on Betway at plus 225. Liam, I like it.
All right, yeah,
I like that spot.
That's a good one. How about now maybe this is just my bitterness coming out a lot of here. Philly plus 120 over Vancouver at home.
Tempting. Vancouver's got to
Phillies-
lose eventually.
Exactly. Phillies, I don't know. They're all right. They're not good by any means, but they've got. I think the early days of the season is when you can kind of snag these underdogs a little bit because
Mhm.
teams feel like they have a lot to prove and play for and stuff like that. Like the other night when like Carolina San Jose matchup. I'm not saying bet San Jose, but if Mackenzie Blackwood is going to make 51 saves against Colorado, probably going to be able to stop Carolina too, who also lost to Anaheim.
Mhm.
Plus 220. 60, sorry, not bad. Vegas also underdogs at home. Crazy.
That doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
No,
Which
even
means
money.
the flipping the puck line and taking them minus a goal and a half would probably be very juicy.
That would be very juicy. Anything else you're kind of seeing outside of the Oilers game tonight?
I think I'm in. So again, I'm doing money line and Draisaitl 2 points,
Okay.
and I'm doing Draisaitl shot prop at plus 110. I was starting to go down the rabbit hole of looking at the numbers of like, does he actually shoot the puck more when he's on Connor McDavid's line?
Does he?
I think so.
Yeah. Interesting.
So he's 97 shooter, man. And I expect the two of them to really come out of the gates hard today. So
yeah, me too. I think that's probably I'd have to dig into some of the player props and see stuff.
I really like the Oilers money line and Draisaitl 2+ points. But as well, a little shameless plug later tonight on pregame with Boardsy for our little Betway segment. I'm looking right in front of me, and Gavin has already provided me with some numbers and a couple bets that I think you, the viewers, will be very interested in hearing. So come on and hang out with Tyler and I at 5 p.m. today. 5 p.m. on the Oilers Nation YouTube.
And we'll be rolling for an hour. We also have a brand new episode of Oilers Nation Radio coming up this afternoon. So a big content day here at the Oilers Nation offices because it's hockey season.
It's game day.
Tyler Mulick says, oh, you almost got me. 12:52, Mulick. You almost tricked me. Almost read it. You put a bet he liked in there. Sergeant Battle said Leon's going to get 4 shots in 45 seconds. Easy. Maynard Nugent Spivey said they better win because if they fall to 0-3, yikes.
Yeah, I might also go Kyle Connor goal tonight. Just thinking about it.
For the Jets?
Yeah, King's goaltending.
How did that pop in your head? King's goaltending?
I was researching it as you were talking. 3 goals in 2 games. Arguably the most underrated goal scorer in the NHL? Or is he kind of risen above that now?
I don't think he's underrated anymore. He was at one point.
Yeah.
31 goals this season. Not as good as the year before. I don't know. I like Kyle Connor a lot.
I like Kyle Connor too. I still believe Nick Ehlers is the most underrated player on their roster.
Oh, yes, he is very good. He is very good. Fun fact about Nick Ehlers, played in the World Junior A Challenge for Denmark in Bonneville. So I know we have one gentleman who listens in Bonneville, so he has been to the RJ Lalonde.
Hey, I've been there too.
Yeah, what's the other Danish player called? Bjorkstrand? He's Danish, right? They were both there on that Danish team.
That was a good time for Danish hockey.
They tore it up, and then they went to the World Juniors and got spanked. So,
yeah, it's all about the experience. QF Pro says he likes going dry goal over 6.5 Oilers money line parlay. They do have that up on Betway. Sergeant Battle said, Gavin, you mean yoked, handsome Tyler?
That is exactly who I mean. Thank you, Sergeant Battle.
Casey DeSmith's biggest fan as well. Did you hear that story?
Gavin or Sergeant Battle?
Gavin.
No.
So Gavin does the Betway videos for Canucks Army.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess Casey DeSmith pulled aside quads in the Canucks room. And I was like, hey, who's that handsome guy who you have grown betting on your channels?
God. Wow.
Casey DeSmith, big fan of Gavin.
Lifetime fan.
Well,
Gavin should get a Casey DeSmith jersey.
Hey, if I've got a different
No, Casey DeSmith should get a Gavin jersey.
Hilarious.
There it is.
Very good. Again, pre-gaming with Boardsy. It is brought to you by Sherwood Ford, the Giant. It gets going at 5 o'clock. That's going to be a wrap on today's game day, Giant game day edition of Oilers Nation Every Day. As always, live from the Sports Closet studio. Hold up the jersey. Oh, you almost lost the hook. You can get these at sportscloset.ca. They also have all of the, or not all of the, but a whole bunch of the merch that surrounds it as well. Sportscloset.ca to find out more. Also, if you want to get stocked up on some new Nation gear, the new website is looking good. New Nation gear up now, nationgear.ca. We should put a link to that in the YouTube description.
New gear, new website.
Yeah.
It's a new season.
New year, new me.
Today's the season opener. Okay.
Shout out
3. We're trying this again.
Shout out to DoorDash. Dash that for the win. Betway. Also, our friends at Alberta Blue Cross. Tomorrow on the show, we'll be giving our Alberta Blue Cross big moment of the game for tonight's matchup against the Predators. And also, shout out to Crown Royal. Are they? There they are.
Right there. You'll be drinking that tomorrow.
Yeah, if they score.
If the second line scores a 5v5 goal, I will take a shot at Crown Royal. Yes, that is correct. Big thanks to Michael Gallagher from Nashville Hockey Now. Give him a follow on Twitter. He covers the Preds like a blanket, and he works for Yardbarker. So we appreciate that. That was my favorite memory of the show. Party. Yeah, that was my favorite memory of the show, by the way.
My favorite memory of the show was looking back at Leon Draisaitl.
That was good.
My favorite memory was the very beginning with not Tyler Mulick.
Yes, that was very good.
That was fun.
I take it back. That was my favorite.
Shout out to Alberta Blue Cross, ab.bluecross.ca/travels, where you can find out more information. That is a wrap on a Tuesday Sherwood Ford Giant Game Day edition of the show. Tyler Mulick, your suspension has been lifted. That is me lifting the suspension. Thanks everyone for tuning in. See you at Pre-Gaming with Boardsy, and see you back here tomorrow, 12:01 Mountain Time.
Thank you for watching Oilers Nation Every Day. Hit the subscribe button to never miss a show. And for more, visit OilersNation.com.